Welcome to Parental Alienation and Narcissism. This program is to provide awareness, educational topics that will help you heal and navigate through the hardships associated with narcissistic alienation. Please like and subscribe.
Welcome to Video 3. My name is J. Claude McDaniel, author and victim of alienation. I share my experiences, education, and provide valuable information that I hope will help you navigate through your plight. In this third episode, I take you through two scenarios associated with the painful and often misunderstood world of parental alienation. As Alex's journey unfolded, he began to realize something that was both frightening and strangely comforting. What happened to him wasn't unique. He wasn't alone. And perhaps most importantly, he wasn't imagining it. His experience was part of something much larger. A silent epidemic affecting families across the country. Every year, millions of children watch their parents' marriages end. Many families navigate divorce with dignity and cooperation. But for others, something far darker emerges. A struggle that isn't about co-parenting. A struggle that isn't about the best interests of the children. A struggle centered on control, on domination, on the destruction of another person's identity and relationships. For years, Alex believed he was fighting a personal battle. Eventually, he realized he was confronting a pattern that countless other parents had experienced before him. The names and faces were different, but the tactics were remarkably similar. The stories echoed one another, and the damage left behind was often devastating. Most people who witnessed it never understood what they were actually seeing. They thought it was simply a bitter divorce, a difficult breakup, a custody dispute that got out of hand. But parental alienation is often far more than that. When driven by narcissistic behavior, it can become a form of psychological warfare. Carefully planned, relentlessly executed, and extraordinarily effective. As Alex searched for answers, he discovered something else. The greatest threat was often hidden behind the most appealing mask. On the surface, his former spouse seemed admired by everyone. She was popular at work, friendly in social settings, active in the community. The kind of person others described as charming, engaging, and likable. People gravitated toward her. People trusted her. People defended her. What they saw was charisma. What Alex experienced was something entirely different. Behind closed doors, the charm disappeared. The warmth became control. The affection became manipulation. The concern became criticism. And the relationship became increasingly centered around power. Alex eventually learned that some narcissists do not rely on intimidation alone. Many rely on charm. They understand that a pleasant public image can become one of the most powerful tools of manipulation. The more admired they appear to others, the harder it becomes for anyone to believe the people they are hurting. Looking back, Alex could finally see the pattern. The relationship had followed a predictable cycle from the very beginning. At the time, he couldn't see it. Now it seemed impossible to ignore. The first stage was idealization. In the beginning, Alex felt like the most important person in the world. He was admired, praised, desired. Every conversation felt exciting. Every interaction seemed filled with affection. He believed he had found someone who truly understood him. But what he later realized was that he wasn't being loved. He was being positioned. The foundation was being laid for a cycle he didn't yet recognize. Then came devaluation. The changes were subtle at first. A sarcastic remark. A criticism disguised as a joke. A comment that left him feeling inadequate. Over time, the criticism intensified. Nothing he did seemed good enough. No achievement was sufficient. No effort was appreciated. No amount of love seemed to satisfy. Gradually, Alex began questioning himself. His confidence eroded. His self-esteem weakened. And while he struggled to understand what was happening, the person causing the damage remained firmly in control. Then came the stage that shocked him most. One day, emotionally, she was simply gone. The relationship that had once seemed so important suddenly appeared disposable. There was no meaningful discussion. No effort to repair what was broken. No acknowledgement of the years they had shared. Instead, Alex felt erased, as if he had become irrelevant overnight. What he didn't realize was that new sources of attention, admiration, and validation were already being cultivated elsewhere. The search for fresh supply had begun. Then came a phase many survivors know all too well. Just as Alex started finding his footing again, the messages would arrive. The phone would ring. The promises would return. I made a mistake. The children miss you. We should try again. We can fix this. For a moment, hope would return. Maybe things could be different. Maybe the person he once loved was finally coming back. But the pattern repeated itself every time. The affection wasn't genuine reconciliation. It was something known as hoovering. An attempt to pull him back into the cycle. An attempt to regain access to attention, control, and emotional supply. Every time Alex responded, he unknowingly reopened the door. Every time he gave another chance, the cycle started again. Eventually, Alex heard a warning that changed everything. This pattern would not stop on its own. There would be no magical moment of self-awareness. No sudden transformation. No final conversation that would resolve years of manipulation. The cycle would continue indefinitely until he recognized it for what it was. Until he stopped feeding it. Until he withdrew the supply it depended upon. Until he accepted that some battles cannot be won through reason because they were never about reason in the first place. Only then did recovery begin. Only then did clarity emerge. Only then did Alex start reclaiming his peace of mind, his identity, his future, and his ability to be present for the people who still loved him. Perhaps the most important lesson from this part of the story is this: parental alienation rarely happens in isolation. It is often the predictable outcome of deeper patterns of manipulation, control, and narcissistic abuse. Once you learn to recognize the cycle, you begin seeing it everywhere. The idealization, the devaluation, the discard, the hoovering. The same script played out with different actors. And once you see the magician's trick, something remarkable happens. The illusion begins to lose its power. As this story continues, we'll move beyond the tactics themselves and explore the long-term damage they leave behind. The emotional wounds, the fractured relationships, the impact on children, and the lifelong consequences that can continue long after the conflict appears to be over. Because understanding the methods is only the beginning. Understanding the cost is where the real story begins. This ends part 3 of my narration. Part 4 will be speaking to the long-term harm to victims. Thank you for reviewing my site and listening to part 3. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps this valuable site to grow and spread sound educational information. Sincerely, J. Claude McDaniel.